everyone, and welcome to the Larp Tales podcast. My name is Oliver. I am one half of your hosting duo. Returning this week is my co-host Robyn. After leaving me last week, we did fine though. We did fine without you, Robyn. It was all good. It was all fine.
It was one episode, okay?
It's all good. It went perfectly well. Today we're going to be discussing what there is to do at Empire LARP, the first event of the year. The Empire has 4 different events, and there's different things that go on at each event. There are certain things that happen at every event. We're going to go through those. If you're new, if you're returning, we thought that this would be a good time to kind of cover all that. Let's get our housekeeping out of the way before we get into that, though. If you are watching us on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you are new to the channel and want to know when new content is posted over on the Two Avant Roll channel. If you're listening to this podcast on an audio platform such as Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please give us a 5-star review. That just helps people find the content. We also have a Patreon if you want to go check that out. It currently sits at about $3 a month. That's about $1 per episode. It is basically just a little tip jar. There's not much extra content over there. It's just another way to support us. You are, of course, under no obligation to do so. Right, without further ado, let's see what's to do at E1 Empire LARP. Okay, so Empire LARP E1 is upon us. By the time this episode is released, it'll be like 2 days away. Most of our listenership is Empire attending, so we thought we would give a little kind of rundown of what there is to do at Empire LARP, things that are going on. Now, there is a list of things on the Empire Wiki. However, Empire LARP is a predominantly player-run game system. Like it's most like the things that are going on are mostly organized by players. And part of the experience of Empire is going to the events and interacting with other players. Other players have organized things for you to interact with. So the best way to experience these things is to go out into the field and obviously discover them, but PD will not advertise what players are doing, basically. They will give a list of the things that are going to be happening, i.e. senator elections, general elections, when these important meetings are happening. But everything else, is organized completely by the player base. So we're going to go through those. We're going to go through each nation and just give you a brief overview of kind of what's going on, and a rough sort of idea of when. There is so much going on with thousands of players currently organizing things. There's lots and lots of stuff going on, so we're probably only going to scratch like the bare surface of what's actually going on. We're going to try hit them on like a national level, like that's going to be obvious for people to go see. Right, so if it's your first time at Empire, there's a lot of new players coming. Again, this is all going to be good information for people that have been before. Each nation that you're going to be a part of, there are like 10 distinct games. You are going to have a different experience in each of the nations. So what we say, so we know Dawn more intimately, and there's another few nations that we know that we have a lot of game in that we know better. Some of them we don't know as well. But the nation that you are a part of, you're going to have a better idea of what is going on. So, for example, if you are a part of Wintermark, your first experience is probably going to be the Moot. So there's going to be a big assembly of all the players in Wintermark, and they are going to meet all the new players. They're going to point you out to important people in the nation, introduce your egregores, but that is specifically for Wintermark. That's not for everybody. So I kind of want to, in this episode, I want to kind of cover what anyone can go and visit. That there will be nation-specific stuff. So a big part of the game of Empire is roleplay. That sounds very straightforward, but even just a matter of, I would love to be like, oh yeah, this is where everything is. Here's a map. But a big part of this game is that everybody on that field when timing is happening, every single person there is a role player. So if you go, hey, I don't know where Urizen is, it's part of the game to just turn to the first person you see and say, hi, I'm new to Anvil. Where is Urizen? And if they don't know where Urizen is, they will point you eventually to someone who knows where Urizen is. And you might end up meeting an Urizeni by accident, and they'll take you to Urizen, a bit like Robyn did once.
Literally, where is Urizen?
Yeah. So navigating Anvil, the best thing to do is ask. Of course, if you have accessibility needs, then PD crew can help you there as well with navigating the field as well. But the best place to find things and what's going on in general is to roleplay. I know it might be tricky for newer players. Some people are kind of anxious talking to new people, but at the base layer of the game, that is what it is. So no one is going to scoff at you for asking, oh, how do I get to the Imperial Orcs? What's going on in the nation? So in your nation, you'll get a good idea of what's kind of happening. I brought up Wintermark as an example of what happens at first, because Dawn is not like that at all. Like,
no, we're very different, aren't we?
Yeah, you're not going to get that experience. So there's no point in me going over all these different nations, what's going to happen in your own nation, because I don't have the experience of every nation that way. But what we'll do is we'll go through every nation in order, and then we'll do like an overall what's happening generally, because we do have a new empress, and there's a big coronation for our new empress as well, which we'll cover at the end. I'll bookmark. I'll timestamp the chapters as well, so you can just jump to the bit that you are interested in. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Robyn, what nation are we going to be starting?
Well, I was going to say as well there, another thing when it comes to coming to this event, especially if it's your first event, we've got the Empire Wiki there, which has got a lot of information. It can be quite tricky to navigate if you're not used to some of the terminology. So to let everyone know, currently, this is year 385. We are in the winter solstice, year 385. If you go into the wiki and go into that section, you can read the winds of war and the winds of fortune and everything coming up in the year 385. That way you're not reading something from a previous year, because I do it all the time. I literally did it this morning. I went on and I was looking at battle opportunities and I was like, the Druge? We're not fighting the Druge this time. It took me a while to realize I was in autumn. So
I've done
just
that.
to make sure everyone's done it.
There's a few people that have done like a lot of people do that. People like post being like, "Oh, I'm interested in this conjunction." It's like, no, they were last year's conjunction. That's very easy to do. Also, it's a little bit confusing because the end of the in character year starts at spring, but the player year starts at winter, which is the previous year. It gets a little bit confusing. But
so this is winter 385, and next we're going to go into spring 386.
Yeah. But this is winter. Another thing as well is winter, and you'll see when we start talking about what's going on. Winter, the theme of winter and the winter realm also. So it seems to match the realm and the season in the real world. The theme is about remembering death, life and death, that type of thing. So it's a big, because we're currently like spooky wintry people. This is going to be a big season for our house. So
yeah, definitely. So let's just jump into the different nations. So first on my list is actually the League. So the League every winter have a festival called the Festival of the Reaper. Yeah, so the Festival of the Reaper is going to be on the Saturday night, and there's going to be a big party in the League, and the Reaper will be around as well. There's a few rules when it comes to the Reaper. First of all, you need to wear a mask when the Reaper is around. If you are, or you could do what we did and you can argue with the prince. When it comes to masks, first of all, if you've not got one just now and you are literally listening to this on the way to the event, there's lots of masks. People are selling them everywhere. Don't worry about it. You can wear like really big, like fancy sort of like masquerade style things, or just have like a veil over your face. It's just the fact that you're covering part of your face. So yeah, if you want to know a bit more about the Reaper and a bit more about what that means, I would encourage you to head over to the league at this event and ask people. They will know a lot more than I do, but they'll also be able to give you some good game there as well. And you might even get a chance to meet the Reaper as well, which could be pretty cool. Other things that are happening at the big party is they have a game of Calcio, which is, I have never seen this game. I don't know much about it. All I know is that it's a ball game, and all nations are encouraged to come along to watch, to join in, and so on. So it's basically go have a big fun party in the league. So there's also the Museum of Wonders. Now, I have not been before, but after people telling me about it today, I'm definitely going to go and see this event. It has hundreds of different items and relics and artifacts from the Empire and from the Empire's history. The people that work at the museum have put in a lot of time to researching these different relics, to finding the stories that are connected to them. So you can literally go, you can learn about the history, you can hear some really cool stories, and interact with this group of people who are very welcoming so far. From what I've seen online, they've been very welcoming and like, yes, come, ask us questions, hear cool stories, and learn about our history.
Yeah.
So that is a museum of wonders.
Yeah, that's a good passive kind of like touristy thing to do, because it's literally just and I've already said that the field is full of role players, but especially in that setting, just going, oh, what is this thing? You know, people are going to want to talk about their artifacts, and that's a very, yeah, again, a very the most passive probably act that you can do as just an Anvil tourist is go around, just look at some cool and read some stuff about, and there's stories tied to all these pieces as well in world. So I haven't been yet, so I'm looking forward to maybe going on and giving it a. That's the thing, this is our like 9th event, and when we're doing research for this episode, it's like I didn't know like most of this stuff I want to go do. I'm not gonna have time to do it all, but yeah.
I know, I felt really bad. Like I was going through the comments and there's all these people like, oh my gosh, so how do we do it all? And I'm like, hey, you don't. Yeah. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, so
because yeah.
I mean, for non-league players as well. From my personal experience, if you want to do some role play in the league, ask them about their masks. The dramaturgy is in every nation, but there seems to be a lot of dramaturgy in there. There's always people putting on plays and as well. So ask. I had great fun learning about the Kikabio archetype as well. Go ask about them.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love the league. Yeah. So
who's next?
Next on my list is Wintermark.
Wintermark. Players, they're not Vikings, okay?
Wintermark are not Vikings.
They're not Vikings.
But just picture a Viking, and that's where you're going.
I've been trying to find Wintermark everywhere. I know they're not Vikings, and I keep coming. I think people keep pointing me, and I'm like, I'm surrounded by Vikings, so I know I'm not in the right place. And I walk out again, and people keep pointing me back to the Vikings.
I'm laughing. I'm like, I feel like that's definitely happened to someone at some point. Come on.
I'm teasing completely. With the look and feel of Wintermark is awesome, but I do find it funny. Like in the actual PD brief, they say what they are not. They are not Vikings.
Oh dear. So Wintermark E1 are going to do their Ashes of Forgotten Heroes. So I just learned about this today. So it's going to be on the Saturday at 9:00. And basically, they all gather around the hearth fire, which is like, you can't miss it. Like, you cannot miss it when you go through.
Yeah. If you're not a Wintermark player, it's down by the out of character camping area next to Dawn. Like, you can't miss it. It takes up a good chunk of the field and some of the woods as well. But yeah, the thing about Wintermark, they've got the massive great big open space in there. They've also got the tree in there as well. I can't remember what the tree's called.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, there's lots to explore around Wintermark.
Yeah. So basically, what they do is they gather the names of heroes whose story has not been told in the last year, and they cast them into the hearthfire. And it's a festival of remembrance. We're going to get a lot of that this at E1. There's a lot of remembrance going on, but it's a way for them to honor those heroes who have fallen. And it's a very big sort of like community event that they encourage everybody to come to. So yeah, that's the main things happening at Wintermark.
Yeah.
Other things in Wintermark, I've not spent a lot of time in Wintermark, even though my tent on the past 4 events has pretty much almost cross guy ropes with the Wintermark tents. But they are also, if you hear people talking about the pizza in the field, the pizza place is in Wintermark.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
feel like that's worth mentioning
yeah,
because we don't have much hot food up our end
yeah.
of the camp.
Yeah, I better run down the whole like. Just 'cause I don't want Winter Marcus upset with me because I was teasing, but yeah, there's 3 different like sub nations of Wintermark. You have the Steiner, which are more like kind of Rohirrim feeling ones. You have the Calavesa, which are like the mystics. So yeah, go speak to them if you want some spooky stuff. And then you have the Suacs, which are like the proper the wintry ones. Yeah, plenty of space over in Wintermark to go and have a wander around.
So next on my list is Navarr. Now, every time I speak to a new player, I always say the same thing when it comes to coming to their first event or their second event or their 20th event. Um, songs and stories. Songs and stories in Navarr is such an incredible experience. For those who don't know, Songs and Stories happens every evening in Navarr. They have a nice big sort of area within the woods, a big fire in the center of it, and you can gather and join everybody as songs are sung, as stories are told, as anything creative is basically done as a show and as a performance. But you do need to show a lot of respect when you're there. It is a place where everybody comes and they are quiet and they listen and they watch and they really appreciate those who are coming on to do it. It's also really welcoming for those of you who are like, oh, I'd really like to, or I've got the story that I want to tell, or I can play this instrument and I want to sing something to go with it. You know, it's very welcoming to those who want to come and try that. They're very supportive. And all you need to do is head over, speak to the people who organize it. They're all really wonderful people, and they will literally find you a slot so you can go in and you can take part. Yeah, so we've been to Songs and Stories quite a few times now. Um, it was something I really wanted to. I had like this whole plan at one point where I was going to go and tell a story as part of my test. And I was going to go ahead.
Oh, the road's not traveled.
So if you're completing a test, I highly recommend heading over to Songs and Stories.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I know you've already said you can go and you can take part, but yeah, I want to make clear you do not have to be a Navari to take
No.
part at all. It is open to everyone, but it is a Navarre tradition. They take it very, very seriously. Songs and Stories. It's always at night time, and it's in the woods. It's really easy to find because everywhere around it is like dark. So if you just follow the sound and the light, because they've actually got it like properly lit as well. It's like nicely lit. They got like artificial lights, lighting the area as well. So it's like it's actually easier to. It's funny when you come across it in the daytime, the circle it seems like tiny, but when you
Yeah.
at night it seems to take up the entire camp. Um,
It's also quite warm there as
mm,
well. Like you wouldn't think it was that warm standing out in the woods, but
mm.
especially E1 is a cold event. It's actually quite warm standing over there with everybody around you and just taking that
Yeah,
in.
yeah, and
Um,
it's one of the most atmospheric parts of the entire event, isn't it? Like because it's in that wooded
yeah.
bit. It's very atmospheric. It's very it gives you the good like Navarre feel.
Yeah.
Mm.
There's also so in Navarr there's the Market, which is literally like the if you walk up, I'm trying to like describe like which row in the market is. I think it's quite obvious when you get there. It's lit. It's lit with like little lights
Yeah.
along the ground, and you've got people selling things and
Yeah.
stuff there. It's quite
Again,
obvious, and they've got a big sign that says the market.
ask people. Yeah, that's going to be part of your weekend of role play. Is like asking people is role play. This is the thing. I don't
Mm.
want to get like deep into role play, but when you're larping at this type of event, your role play doesn't always have to be like really cathartic, over the top, oh drama, which is really fun. But role play can also be going up to a stranger and being like, "Hey, where's the market?" So,
Exactly. In the market this time there is a group there, and they have this is I love this idea so much. So they have a jar of like tiny tasks, and they've described it as like a tiny task lottery. Anyone can go and you can play the tiny task lottery and you can take out a task. I do not have an example of what these tasks are going to be, but I'm making the assumption as they are sort of small tasks, they're probably going to be something that's going to send you somewhere, send you to learn something about something, or just give you a thing to do in the area and let you sort of experience that part of the game. If you are struggling and if it is your first event as well, and you're like, oh, I'm not too sure, I feel like I want to get involved with something, head over, take a tiny task, and then see where that takes you, because that could probably set you off into all sorts of directions. And the group that are obviously doing that as well, I'm sure they'd be happy to help you with that also. So
yeah.
that's just in the market. And I don't know exactly which group it is. You'll have to role play and find out.
Yeah, yeah. Go ask questions. Things I would ask, like if I wasn't a Navarr player and you haven't done much research on Navarr, yeah, go ask them about the Great Dance. Go ask them about the Valorn as well. That can be interesting. Basically, those two things, you go up and ask any Navarri, you'll get some conversation out of them.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. So next on to the Brass Coast. So
Have you heard? Have you heard? Contracts are always preferred.
would you like to give us a rendition of that song?
No, not at all.
Oliver once went to the Brass Coast as Godric and ended up in the middle of a musical.
Well, this is the thing. So I almost wish in my first event I did what I did at the third event, because I basically had to go around for my test of metal, go around to the nations. I didn't do all of them in the end because we ended up kind of splitting them. But yeah, like what I thought the nations were like was not what the nations are actually like. Example, I went to the Brass Coast and asked them about love, and I ended up in like a musical number. But yeah, sorry, let's not go down that tangent. The Brass Coast.
Oh dear.
Or the
So-
freeborn as the
The
sometimes
freeborn,
called.
yeah.
So yeah, if you're new and someone says freeborn, they're talking about people who are in the Brass Coast.
Yeah. So they have the wake for those lost in the destruction of Surak. And that is going to be on the Saturday at 8 o'clock. So I've been told it's going to be music and there's going to be dancing. And they're again on the theme of death. You're going to see how every nation deals with death in this one, because they are going to have their wake, which is a big party.
Yeah.
The Brass Coast for this time. Now, some people have sent me a lot of information. So thank you to all of those who have sent it through. There's quite a lot going on when it comes to military concerns this time with the Brass Coast. You want to hear a bit about what's going on there, go speak to them about the Grendel.
Yeah,
Go speak to them about the military concerns there and about what they've been going through, because you will get a lot of information. And I don't absorb information very well reading it. I've tried to go through it, but I'm definitely going to have to go over to the Brass Coast and speak to a few people and try and get the information that way, because that's how I'll get it.
Yeah, the Brass Coast in particular are getting hit by everyone. They got hit hard by the Cold Sun Heralds. They're getting hit by the Lysambrian Jotun as well. That they over the few years they've lost quite a lot of ground as well. So the poor Brass Coast. But yeah, if you're interested in that type of stuff in that part of the Empire over that direction, over on the west, go and talk to the Brass Coast about all that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Also, the good, really good tea and coffee. They're really enthusiastic merchants and traders as well. The Brass Coast. So
Okay, so next we have Varushka. So this is going to be happening at 8 o'clock on the Friday, and this is the Feast of the Loom. I am definitely going to actually try and get to this because I know I've said this about everything, but I really want to come and see this. So the Feast of the Loom is where those in Varushka get together and they tell stories about those who have fallen within that last year. They also have ribbons with the names of the fallen, which they go and tie onto the loom itself. It is a very beautiful festival that they do here. And it's something that, well, I knew a little bit about it. And then I got a message from someone today. So now I really want to go.
Because
Pixie sent a message.
Bear in mind, like our characters died within the last year, so yeah, this is gonna be a rough one emotionally.
This is a hard one.
Yeah. For us, it's gonna be so cool though. So
it really is. But Varushka in general, you want to know some cool things in Varushka, because Varushka is one of the nations that I visited when we were doing our Test of Metal before. Ask them about stories of those who have wandered off the roads, and ask them tales sacrifice. You will get some really interesting stories. The story that I was told is still like it's there, it's in my brain, it's never leaving, and it is amazing. And I've repeated the story so many times, but to the point where I kind of want to go back and hear it again. Ask them about all this sort of thing. Ask them about the wolves. They are going to give you some.
Ask them about the wolves. Yeah,
just ask them honestly. Like I couldn't do it justice right now. Go ask them about these sort of things, and you will be basically thrown into a world of if you like twisted fairy tales, this is where you're gonna like it. You're gonna like going there. It's like if you think about the original stories of all these fairy tales and things that we tell. Varushka is very much like that. You get all these sort of dark stories that always have a nice lesson in there, but they're dark.
Yeah, storytelling's a big part of the nation. Like storytelling's a part of the empire anyway, but like specifically Varushka, it's a big part of their culture there. I love Varushka. It's probably it's my second favorite nation from just a personal taste point of view of their brief. But I don't anywhere near get the game that I. Well, it's the first night, isn't it? It's Friday, so
that's why it says Friday at 8.
I might squeeze.
We can do this.
Yeah, I might try and squeeze that in. Go over and have a listen to some of the stories being told.
Yeah, we can make this happen.
Yeah,
like it's military council for us. It takes up all of Friday, but like we can make this happen. Yeah. So now on to the marches. So marches, there is a couple of things happening. One of the big things I'm actually going to leave to the end of this because it's kind of like an empire-wide thing, but it's the marches really. But the other thing that's happening, and this is more a personal thing to those marcher players, and this is the coming of spring. So this is a festival welcoming the spring, and it is a very personal festival, and everybody celebrates it in their own way. So some people tell ghost stories, they burn their puppets, they sing songs, all sorts of things like that. So if you are wandering through the marches at E1, you will see different things like this happening, as people have their own personal way of celebrating this. It's definitely something that if you want to know more about it, again, I feel like we're repeating this a lot, but ask them about it, ask what they're doing.
It's important.
Ask about these puppets and things because they will give you some very interesting information there. the marches in general, though, for us, because this is one of the. I know that earlier I said I always tell people, oh yeah, songs and stories. Had songs and stories from Navarr. I also try to tell people to head over to the marches for the pubs there. They are great,
Yeah, there's some
and
great
the
taverns
Black
all
Rat
over.
is
Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you there.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's great taverns like everywhere. I really like the Black Rat.
Hmm.
I just it's got such a great vibe in there. Even and that's from a Dawnish person.
Silgor's going to be so mad at us. The blind eye is also great.
I'm sorry, Silgor.
Yeah.
Well, I think we made a deal anyway, didn't we? At the one of the most recent player events where we have to go to both and decide which is best.
Yeah, exactly. Our new characters haven't actually experienced both either.
I think there was a prize up on offer, I believe Silgor offered.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely marches for drink and food. Yeah, ask the marches about their lands and their farms, and their loyalty is what I would recommend. Ask them about what's happening in Bregasland. If you're brand new, you don't know much about that. Go, oh, I've heard something about Bregasland. Do you stay there? And you'll get loads of stories.
Yeah.
You'll get a good time in the marches. So some of the best like deep role play you'll get in the marches is in like it seems one thing at the surface. It seems like a load of kind of silly accents and I love my farm. But then when you actually start talking to them, the role play gets pretty deep. I find there.
I feel like, and this might be a strange thing to say, the marches, when you're there with them, they seem like some of the most loyal people to come across.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. Like, obviously, loyalty is a virtue, and we all hold those to a high standard.
Of course we do, yeah.
But the marches, they just seem so genuinely loyal to those around. Even if they do overcharge the Dawnish. But they're honest about it. Oh dear. Okay, so the next one we have on the list is Highguard. And this event, Highguard have their Day of the Dead. So, Oliver, what's Day of the Dead?
Oh yeah, I've got the notes for this one.
You have the notes.
So the second day of the winter solstice, so that'll be the Saturday at night. Most of these events are taking place after dark, by the way, which for the winter event is pretty early. I think it's 8 p.m. or something, isn't it?
Around about 8 o'clock.
So a lot of these things are happening at nightfall. So they have the Highborn again. You'll hear Highguard characters being referred to as Highborn. That just refers to Highguard. If you're new, they have their Day of the Dead. It's a celebration, but it's a somber it's a somber and macabre celebration. They literally walk through every nation in the Empire, and they do so in silence. Apart from I think they ring bells.
Yeah. They have like torchlights as well as they come across. So they have these, you'll see them as they very slowly go through every nation, and you can stand and bow your head and pay your respects as they walk through, and they literally go through every single one.
Yeah, they say I remember they do say the names of so they don't speak, but apart from saying the names of the dead, and once they get back round to Highguard, there's then a celebration celebrating the lives of those. This is going to be a rough one for us this year, isn't it? Well, every celebration we're going to go to, we're going to be reminded of our character deaths. It's good fun. It's good fun. I do remember. I don't think I caught it last year because I was so busy. But I remember our first ever event 2 years ago. I remember seeing Highguard coming around, and they look quite ominous, and it's pretty badass at night as well to see them all come around ringing the bells.
So I remember the first time I saw them, it was our first ever event, like you said, and I remember coming back to the tent because we did take quite a lot of breaks in that first event. And I remember coming back to the tent and being like, Oliver, there's all these like people, and they're walking, and they're like, they've got like lights and they're ringing bells, and is this a bad thing? But or should we be hiding? They can't come to the tent, right? I remember being like really like, what is this?
Yeah.
It's all right, guys, we'll be fine.
Yeah. So Highguard, like outside of the the Day of the Dead. If you are not a Highguard player and you're interested in, especially if you're interested in the way, just learning about that, the Highguard take the stewardship of the Empire and the keeping of the Empire's religion very seriously. So almost all, not all Highborn characters are priests, but in general, if you go to Highguard and you're asking about virtues and things like that, you're going to get some pretty good role play.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so next on the list is the Imperial Orcs. You secretive bunch. Could find nothing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, what's happening in the Imperial Orcs? None of your business.
That's a message to my Imperial Orc friends.
Yeah, we probably should preface this with saying that. So the Imperial Orcs, out of like a role play thing, playing Imperial Orc is often described as playing Empire in hard mode, right? There's a lot of role play around to kind of facilitate that. I remember we had a friend last year that started Empire LARP for the first time. First event was in the Imperial Orcs, and what he was telling us was that the nation as a group of players is quite kind of tight knit, and because you're wearing masks all event, they like to get to know their players out of character, who they are, because again, you can't see these people's faces, also, when you will hear rumors, which is quite fun in roleplay, so you'll hear rumors of, oh yeah, the Imperial Orc camp, you can't go alone, you can't go unarmed, which both are kind of true but not, and I'm not going to tell you why. If you go listen to our podcast with Kelly from like a couple of years ago, then yeah, we do discuss all that. But if you go up to them in roleplay and ask an Imperial Orc, oh, why is it that you don't trust people who aren't armed? People that why don't you go anywhere alone? You will get roleplay. They're also, again, in roleplay, their camp is quite closed off. I think you can get in through the back of Navarr, but they're like main entrance. Sometimes there will be a guard posted at the camp. Technically, like, no one can stop you going anywhere. But when they're having like their meetings and things like that, they're not overly keen on just letting anyone in. They're very tight knit and loyal. But yeah, don't take out of character offense if they brush you off. If there's something happening that's just orc business, that is a role play mechanism for playing in the Imperial Orcs. It's great fun though. They also really don't like, again, in character, they don't like being treated like a zoo, basically. So yeah, even though like you can do the tourist thing like you do in every other nation, but they might not in roleplay be keen with you just walking around gawking at them. So, but their set dressing is like some of the best in the entire game. So if you find your way to the Imperial Orc camp, it's great to have a walk around, but just don't point and go, look at that one.
I don't know if anyone else's brains does this, when somebody says something and you kind of like see this little like cartoon of what it is and you're seeing like orc business. All I'm picturing is Imperial Orcs with like modern day business suits and little briefcases like wandering around. Does anyone else think of that?
No, just you.
That's me. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so Imperial Orcs. Okay, so I do know one thing that's happening at E1. There is a person in Dawn who is sitting there test of metal. Test of metal is a test that we do in Dawn for someone to become noble. So they test into a house. And their test actually saw them spending, I think it was 4 whole events with the Iron Tides and the Imperial Orcs. I don't know all the details. And if you want to know all the details, you'll have to ask the player. But I know that at E1, we're going to find out if they've passed this test or not. I don't know what day this is going to be on, but if you see a large number of Imperial Orcs heading to the Glory Square, that's probably what's happening. I am really going to try to not miss this because this is going to be an interesting one. honestly, I really want to give a shout out to this player as well because this is such an incredible test of metal.
Have they not spent like an entire year like with the Imperial Orcs or something?
Like
Yeah.
taking the battlefield with them.
Yeah.
And they're also, I believe, the only human to ever be allowed in with the Imperial Orcs during their really sacred meetings. So yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing as well. Like like some of their meetings, the Imperial Orcs like to sometimes decide that yeah, they don't want a certain nation present at their meetings. Again, it's all role play, so yeah, don't be yeah, don't be taken aback if they out of character be taken aback if you wander into a meeting and someone an Imperial Orc comes up and says, "What are you doing here? Why are you here?" Type thing. So.
Yeah. Role play with Imperial Orcs. Ask them about their ancestors. Ask about the fighting pit, and you could also ask about the binds that they wear over their arms, like the fabric wraps and things that you see. These are all topics that will definitely get a lot of role play from, and you'll find out so much about the Imperial Orcs just with these three things, honestly. And it's a great way for you to be able to, yeah, get to know some of them a little bit better and so on. So next on our list is Urizen. So again, I kind of struggle to find out what's happening with Urizen at E1, but I do know that they do have their Festival of Light. Now, I'm going to have to take my own advice here because I have been all over the wiki. I have searched it in all the Facebook pages. I can't find details of what the Festival of Light is and what happens, when it happens, who it involves, or anything. So I will take my own advice and I'm going to head over to Urizen. I'm going to role play and I'm going to ask what the Festival of Light is because I don't know. So for you Urizeni players or new Urizeni players, that is something that obviously that you can be involved in. But when it comes to Urizen in general, Urizen, I don't know how. I kind of want to say it's a weird one with Urizen because they are just we're all different from one another. All our nations are different. Urizen are just so different
Well,
from the
yeah,
others.
yeah. Urizen, they're like Vulcans, you know. So if you
Yes.
want, you go speak to them. Go speak to them about if you want role play out of Urizen. Go speak to them about magic. Magic's a big part of their political system.
They always
Um,
give me like ethereal vibes, if that
yeah,
makes sense.
exactly. Ask them about poise as well. They won't shake your hand and things like that. Um, yeah, they sell some really good tea, really good coffee as well in Urizen.
Yeah, they are known for like their tea shops
Mm,
and things like that. There's some really good ones there, and honestly, you can go and ask them about things. So like my role play with Urizen was again in my test of metal when I went and asked for love stories and things like that. And I got told so much about Urizen, just like as a nation and the interesting ways that they show affection for one another. It's definitely a good topic to be able to go and broach and go into. But yeah, the big thing that most people know about is the no sort of like shaking hands sort of thing. They tend to bow and so on. But there are slight exceptions. So, maybe go ask, role play away with that
mm,
because they are an interesting one there. And yes, the tea houses are
yeah,
a must in
yeah.
Urizen.
And then the game wise, they've been yeah. I mean, literally any part of the political game, what's going in the wider campaign. If you ask them about that, they'll all have strong opinions on what's currently going on in the Empire. I think.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Yeah. Okay, so next on the list is Dawn. And just to be different and just to contradict yourselves a little bit here, every other nation started their events in the evening. We're starting our remembrance at 5:30, just before it gets dark, just so we're still in the sunlight.
Yeah, so everyone can like see where they are in their helmets. That's what it is.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah,
A little bit of safety.
Yeah, because this festival involves fighting. I think that's literally why it's done in the daylight, not any
Makes
other
more
reason.
sense, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, the Festival of Remembrance will be taking place in Dawn in the Glory Square. And for those of you who do not know, Dawn has all their camps centered around this huge Glory Square, which is basically a large square arena. I mean, technically, it's a rectangle.
Technically.
A large arena, and you can't miss it because there's flags all the way around it, and it is now lit in the evening as well. And this is what we kind of all have. We have all our tourneys there. We have all our pretty much everything actually there.
Yeah.
It just happens in the Glory Square.
And most things that go on in Dawn are going to be happening in the Glory Square. So
Yeah. So the Festival of Remembrance is there for all of those we have lost within the last year. And the festival itself will have people girding as these fallen characters. So for those of you who don't know, girding is quite simply you dress as a fallen character. You're still your own character. Okay. So I won't tell you who I'm girding as, but I am going to gird as someone. So I am girding as another character, but I will still be Nymeria, and everybody will know I'm still Nymeria, but I'm making myself look like another character. Guising is different. Guising is when you are seen as that person, if you like. So that's the difference. Lots of people will be girding as these fallen characters. They will all be introduced by a troubadour, which is in Dawn, basically, it's a bard. They will come and it's pretty much like a bard, but they are a priest. Yeah, that's. I was like breaking my brain. I was like, they are a priest. That was it.
Yeah. They're our priest archetype, basically. But yeah, they're basically bards.
Yeah. So they'll be introducing the fallen characters in any way they see fit. There will also be a tourney. And the tourney is for these fallen characters to have that last epic win. And they will be joined by friends in the square, and they will be fighting Black Knights. Black Knights in Dawn is our hearth magic. If somebody is to cover their face and all of their heraldry up, usually in the form of either a full helmet covering their entire face, or people will wear veils and so on, or sometimes even just a black scarf covering half of their face. They are Black Knighting. We don't know who that person actually is. And there will be a tourney for them to fight. You can fight alongside your fallen Dawnish friend and have that final battle together as you go and you cut down these Black Knights.
This is all pre-organized now. You can't just run in and
yeah, it's all pre-organized. You can go up and everything. Now, one thing that there's a question that's coming to mind actually, and I don't know the answer to this. It is in Dawn, obviously, and it's all for Dawnish fallen heroes. But if a Dawnish fallen hero has, let's say, a Wintermark best friend, could that Wintermarker come and join the Dawnish fallen hero?
I don't know. I'm not organising it. So I don't know.
Right, we need to find that out. Yeah. And if you know already, put it in the comments. But that would be quite cool. But yeah, it's this is going to be a real big thing. So that's our main big festival that's going to be happening at E1. Other things in Dawn at E1. Like all of the other nations, there are going to be different elections happening and so on, which you'll see. But we will also have different tourneys taking place as well in Dawn that you can come and watch. But everything in Dawn, you want to see it, head to the Glory Square. That's where everything happens.
Yeah, it's where the interesting stuff happens. We have a Knight Protector tournament as well on the Saturday. So this time it's the Knight Protector of Winter. So you will see all the nobles, and only nobles enter the Glory Square to fight for the right to protect Dawn and the Empire from the realm of Winter. So that's always a good time as well.
It's a good one to turn up to.
Yeah. Dawn, if you're not a Dornish player, to come in for roleplay, ask the Dornish about true love. You will get, you will always get stories. You will get so many stories. Ask them about their glory and what is glory. You're going to get a lot of roleplay out of them from that as well. Ask them about the difference between Yo-folk and nobility. Ask them about what a test of metal is. Ask them about what's the difference between a Yo-folk and a marcher and what the history is there. In fact, ask the marchers that as well.
Compare notes.
Yeah, you're going to get good conversations if you're not a part of those nations and you go and ask those questions. You're going to have a good time role playing. So.
Yeah, we have Wise Guys as well, which is the best tavern in Anvil. So if you head to Wise Guys, we also have a lovely private wine bar there as well.
Yeah. No,
Next to Glory Square, you can see everything from Wise
you
Guys.
can, yeah. That's the thing. I know you said earlier about liking certain marcher bars. I usually get out of that type of favoritism by going, oh yeah, I'll just pick the Dornish one that I like and say that's the best one.
And another thing, if anyone in Dawn hands you a flower, make sure you go find out the meaning.
Yes, yeah, which can happen in this event. The spring event, it's a bit more impactful. There's more of that going on, but yeah, you can ask about flowers if you see flowers in Dawn as well.
Yeah. Yeah, if you do get given a flower and you're very much like, oh, this person gave me a flower, they're not really telling you much about what it is, and you're not too sure what the interaction was like, make sure you memorize the colors or the sigils they were wearing and head over to their house. Ask the Yule folk of that house, and they should hopefully be able to help you. And if they see the flower you've been handed and they laugh, then you're probably in trouble. So yeah.
Well, let's move on from Dawn before we get accused of being favoritists.
Okay, so now onto some more empire-wide things that are happening in either more than one nation or all nations. So I've got a little list of some things that are happening. Okay. Our first one on the list is the Massage Guild. You heard that correct. I had to double check that they didn't write message, and I was about to,
I was about to be like, hey.
Yeah. So the Massage Guild will be in the Brass Coast, the Marches, and Wintermark, where you can go and you can find their members and you can receive a massage. And another thing that is happening, there is a Battle of the Nations happening in the league. I have been told this is a WWE style battle, and there's a wonderful poster with League versus Dawn. So that's going to be a fun one.
Yeah. I mean, if it's really WWE, it's probably going to be fixed. So it's the only way. It's the only way the league can win.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We also have our Throne Guard tryouts. So the Throne Guard, actually, you know more about the Throne Guard.
I don't know anything about the Throne Guard. What would you think I know stuff about the Throne Guard?
Well, the Throne Guard, they're basically there to protect the Empress, right?
Yeah, I guess.
They travel around with the Empress. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a shame because I think Godric had his eyes on like Throne Guard stuff, but it's not Daemon the Speed at all. So yeah, now we have a new Empress. There's going to be a Throne Guard. I think there was a Throne Guard before, but now obviously it's going to be a change up of that part of the game. So there's tryouts for them. I'm pretty sure you can go watch because I think there's going to be combat and everything. So if you want to go watch those again, ask around and see when they are, who's going for it. I'm assuming you can sign up at the event.
Oh yeah. So all these things that are happening, you could do everything I see at the event. I'm aware there's a lot of things online, there's lots of discords and things like that, and people are talking about things you're going to go for and stuff. Just to make it really clear, this is all done at the event. Okay, all the signups are done there, all the information. You don't have to do anything in advance apart from buy your ticket.
Yeah,
okay, that's
can,
all.
Yeah, you can come watch, do anything there. Just buy your ticket.
Yeah,
come watch all these things that we've talked about.
Another big one is Matilda Fisher. I'm not going to go into big details here. You want to know about Matilda Fisher? Head over to the marches and ask them.
Yeah.
Because they're going to tell you everything.
Yeah, basically, if you're new to Empire, in the current campaign, we've come to a bit of an end of a story arc on one of the fronts. We came to the end of 2 story arcs last year on the east and the west. But over in Bregisland, which is Marcher territory, there's been a lot of fighting with someone called Matilda Fisher, who was working with the Jotun, and that has kind of come to an end as of kind of last event, and now we literally have this enemy of the Empire as a prisoner of war, and she's being brought to Anvil at the start of this event. So
Yeah. So she's going to be escorted to Wintermark by a group of Wintermarkers and some, I believe, going to be some Jotun with her as well.
well, yeah, the
Was my
Jotun are bringing
understanding.
them again.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't want to speak out of place with this. This is
Yeah.
quite. Yeah, this is all quite kind of tense in character stuff as well.
Yeah. But basically, Matilda's having a trial. Matilda's going to get executed. It's just going to be the how is it done and what's happening with Matilda's remains afterwards, I believe, is the only thing that's actually going to be in question here. So that you will see you will hear a lot of marches around when it comes to this event on then. This is literally the Friday at 10 p.m., isn't it? It is. It's Friday at 10. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Friday at 10, that's going to be happening. So definitely, you want some game with the marchers, definitely ask them about that.
I wish I could see all this stuff. I'm like, as we're going through this and saying the times, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to see half, like a quarter of all this stuff.
We've mentioned a lot of things so far. I'm going to end with the biggest thing, but first of all, around Anvil, there's various notice boards set up that can help you find out what's happening and so on. One of the biggest ones is actually near Navarr. So if you go to the entrance from the road opposite the Leak into Navarr, there is a big notice board there. That board has everything on it. It's got what's happening, and also you can put your own things on there as well. You can put up, if you're trying to do something, you want to put up some in character posters and so on, you can do. So definitely go to these sort of things to give you that sort of help and advice. It's Nim in Navarr who sets up this big notice board each time and does a huge amount of work to make it actually to make it work, and also prints out the majority of the posters that are on there as well.
Yeah. And who doesn't love it in an RPG going up to a notice board, seeing what's going on?
It's like you've got your own quest board.
It's great immersion.
Go find it.
Yeah.
So the final thing that's happening at E1, and this is the big one, we have the coronation of our new empress. Finally, we have an empress.
For new players, this has been like a long time coming. I don't think the last one, the last empress died before we started playing. So
it's been a while. It's been a while without an empress, and we finally have one. So what does that mean? There is going to be a big coronation, and PD have cleared up that it's happening. She is the empress, because there was a little bit of a question mark for a while, because things can be vetoed, but they've already cleared it up. No, she's the empress. It's happening. The coronation is happening.
Yes.
Part of the coronation will see our new empress traveling from nation to nation on a complete tour. That's going to be happening on the Saturday. There's a full list of the timings that she is going to each nation. Do you have the list there actually?
Okay, so the current, because it's been changed recently, so hopefully with like 3 days out, they're not going to be changing this again, but obviously double check. So the Empress is going to be making her way around all the camps, starting with Varushka at 3:30, starting there, because our new throne, if you don't know, our new throne is a Varushkan. Starting at Varushka, then heading to Highguard, followed by Urizen, followed by the Marches, followed by the League, followed by the Imperial Orcs. At this point, it's going to be 2:20, followed by Navarr, followed by Wintermark, followed by dawn, and then ending at the Brass Coast now, which would be 3 o'clock. So as you can see, there's only 10 minutes between each of these, which means there's not going to be a lot of time to address the Empress. So I don't know whether there's going to be much kind of like portrait takings and kissing babies or whatever. It's probably going to be quite brief getting around.
She's gonna be knackered. Like I'm just like thinking this timings in my head. I hope they're carrying her. If you're not carrying her, you should make that happen now. I would say.
Yeah, that's what Throne Guard are for.
Yeah, that's what they're for. If the Throne Guard are not around her, carrying her on a chair, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is all our wonderful things that are happening at E1. And another little further comment, just we're talking about the Empress and everything, and this is like a big event here. We do actually have an episode where we spoke with our new Empress and we got lots of information. So if you want to study up on any of that, then you can head over to that one. And we had Rosa on. Rosa said absolutely wonderful human being, and we got so much information on what's happening and everything. And now a lot of things have been cleared up since that episode. So it's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff. I would like to finish with saying if you're ever lost, this is more, again, I didn't want to go too much into game stuff. All the information from PD, we've already gone over 100 times the new player stuff, this new player skirmishes and meetings, things like that on the Friday. Go and check out Facebook if you have time. There's new player support stuff. There's also there's adverts and promotions as well. People are putting posters in for things
that's the page
up.
I spend a lot of time like scrolling through, to be honest, at this point.
If you want more information about what's going on, the main thing, if you're completely lost, there are NPCs in every nation called egregores. The egregores are the spirit of your nation, and they are there to help you, new player or returning player. They are there to point you in the game that you're interested in. So if you go to them and say, yeah, I'm interested in going and seeing Songs and Stories, they can point you to Songs and Stories or someone who knows about that. If you, in it from a game perspective, if you're saying I'm interested in taking a test of metal, they will explain that to you and they will point you in the direction. If you are wanting to be part of the religion game, if you want to know how to get involved in your National Assembly, or what is National Assembly, go and ask them. They can be your first port of call. If you're completely lost at time in, they can be your first, and they are put there by the game for that reason. All the other players are there to roleplay. They're not under any obligation to help you out. Most of them are going to help you out. We all want to roleplay. Yeah. We're all there to roleplay. Most of us are, but some of us are obviously busy and we've got other games, or we're roleplaying not the most approachable people, maybe. And we may be having character agendas. But the egregores or NPCs put in place to help you, and there's a guarantee that they will help you get into the game that you want to get into.
Yeah. And another little thing, because we're going to see you all like in very soon when this comes out in just a couple of days. We're going to see you all in the mornings. So on like the Friday morning and the Saturday morning before time in, we do like a little coffee thing at our tents at House Mortar in Dawn. Feel free to come over and say hi, chat, hang out, have a cup of coffee or whatever. Be lovely to meet everybody, lovely to chat away. And everyone's welcome during that time before the game actually starts, because some of us don't play very approachable characters.
Yeah, I said this on the last podcast. I quite like to. That's the best time to catch me if you want to talk like podcast stuff and out of character stuff. When it's time in, I like to be like immersed and I'm in character mode. And then any other time that's not, I'm probably hungover and half with it. So yeah, don't judge me too harshly if you're like, hey Ollie, and I'm like half awake on the Sunday morning or something. So.
like half opening our eyes, like hi, hold this pot while I do this.
Yeah. Also, I don't want to get into this whole I don't want to get into a whole this is everything that's going on from a PD perspective, but the main battles as well. All the information can be found quite easily there on the Saturday, on the Sunday. If you have any because I know a lot of people get a little bit lost because it's first thing in the morning, especially if you're fighting on Saturday in your nation. Please either find your egregore, or ask the nearest role player. Hey, I'm coming on the battle. Where do you want me? I don't have a unit to join. I don't have this, that, the other. Do that, because it is thick and fast, because they're trying to get because we go time in and we've only got like an hour to get everyone through the gate and onto the battlefield. So that can be a bit of a rush. So yeah, just please don't get swept up. Please ask. please ask. People will want you to join their units.
Yeah, they want you in there.
Yeah. So.
Also, if you're sitting here just now and you're like, oh, I really want to do the battling, but I've not actually got any armor or weapons. I wasn't sure if I was going to do battling or anything. There's quite a lot of people that lend these out. And somebody literally posted today saying they've got like 11 sets of chain that they're lending out to people with buffs and stuff on them. Yeah. There's people in a lot of nations to help you when it comes to weapons, when it comes to armor and so on. So don't think I don't have all the actual kit with me to do this, that you can't do it. It's doable. Okay, your nation will help you. Yeah.
Good. Right, let's wrap this up, because otherwise we'll go on forever if we keep going about.
We'll keep talking till Thursday.
Anyway, have a safe journey to Anvil, everyone, and we cannot wait to see you there. I better do my outros. If you have been watching this on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. Please click like, subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on an audio platform on your way to Empire, or you're just listening for the enjoyment, and we appreciate you, but please leave us a 5-star review and follow us on those platforms. Go check out the Patreon. We'll sign off now. We love you very much. Stay safe. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.